I just woke up. I used to fear these moments, but now I value them as the perfect freedom. I see so much more when I don't know what I'm looking at.
Heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. You don't really care for music, do ya? Well, it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
This is not so much a film about Will Hindle, or perhaps it is, as it is a film to explain the effect that Will had on other filmmakers, like me. Not that his films, like Watersmith here, were not appreciated by the general viewer. They were. But because above all, in my opinion, Will Hindle was a filmmaker's filmmaker, a powerful image smith, an overlord in this kingdom of shadows. And this film is my attempt, my way, of trying to understand where this power came from.
I was living with a married woman during this time, and it was my mother. And it was very, it was a sort of as if you were living at home, and it was very unusual.
I've been here before. I know this room, and I've walked this floor. You see, I used to live alone before I knew you. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch. But listen, love is not some kind of victory march. No, it's a cold and it's a very lonely hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
I was a would-be filmmaker in graduate school in 1968 when Will Hindle burst into our world like an exploding shell.
You are not with your people, and you are alone in the world, alone in the world.
In those remote and pre-digital times, we devoured our films in coffee houses or in alternative art spaces. Showings were a valued social event. In March, some of us would make the pilgrimage to Ann Arbor, Michigan, where we watched a week of underground, alternative, avant-garde films. We hung out, got to know each other, we took some drugs, we got laid.
I've got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, watch that sound. Everybody look what's going down.
These were days when the aging 16mm film equipment available to a penniless art student was primitive and endlessly awkward. Everything is digital now. Back then, it was all gears and pulleys, and Will loved it. He used what served him, and he dropped what didn't. The best of Will's films were shaped by the difficulties he encountered, and it was exactly this mindset that he carried into his classroom. And so it was at Ann Arbor in 1968 that Will won the top prize in that prestigious festival with his film Chinese Fire Drill. He was the main actor, and the film was really about the inside of his head. The images were original to him. He built his own sets and he did his own photography. The quality and beauty of these images was just stunning. Yet the narration, again by Will himself, seemed to be about madness.
We lived for quite a while away from the home and with 4 aunts.
But no one knew much about Will. We did know that he lived in San Francisco in a loft, which he rarely came out of when he was working, and he seemed to be always working. But when he was a child, Will lived in Los Angeles with his mother. Hollywood was, of course, close at hand, and his mother was an aspiring actress. She had the furs and the man and the car, but she never made it big. But in the late 1930s, there was a booming industry in child stars, and in the mothers who made them. There were the Our Gang comedies, and there were the child stars who gripped the tender heart of the public and made millions doing it. So, if a young mother could not be an actress herself, perhaps she could be the mother of a star. There are hundreds of photographs of Will as a child actor from the box in the closet at the end of the hall. And there are a few letters and contracts which show that he had some success. But there was no real breakthrough, and after a while, that parade went by. Because his mother was volatile and an actress, it is certain that Will got to see the seamy side of Hollywood. In due course, he graduated high school and left L.A. for Stanford. In his later life, Will would utterly scorn Hollywood. He thought of the movie industry as a great beast, driven by profit and destroying the creative souls of its workers. He believed to the depth of his soul that art motivated by profit could not be great art, or perhaps not art at all. He thought the fantasies foisted on young people by Hollywood movies were absurd. He pitied the Hollywood types, whose minds and bodies would, to his thinking, become distorted in their quest for fame. In 1969, When he won the prestigious American Film Institute prize to make a new film, he disappeared for months. His nearest neighbor knew he was alive only because he picked up the Chinese food when it was delivered to the door. When he emerged, he held his magnificent Watersmith, a masterpiece among masterpieces. It is a symphony of images in the sense that a musical symphony is made up of harmonious and contrasting notes. It was an outgrowth of the wordless symphony film movement, pioneered in the 1920s and 1930s by artists like Joris Ivens. With Watersmith, Will became a popular guest at museums and galleries as an acknowledged master of his medium. Watersmith was shot in the foothills of California. It is an exotic, sensuous celebration of light, water, and movement, a sunny West Coast film. Will's friends thought he would live in San Francisco for the rest of his life. It was not to be. Among the debris in the studio in Alabama, there is what may be his first complete film. It feels like a practice film, perhaps designed to entertain and impress someone he cared about. Perhaps this was the first time he realized he was gay, or perhaps the first time he acted on it. Among the routine grammar of filmmaking's close-ups and long shots, there are signs of a growing mastery of the sense of space. Space in a film. It is, in fact, our earliest opportunity to see what he saw and what he thought worthwhile enough to photograph. Yet, at the height of his success, Will left San Francisco for that small town in Alabama, Blountsville. When asked to explain, he said it was because San Francisco was too expensive. He said that his taxes in Blountsville, Alabama, were $32 a year. Perhaps it was because he did not feel part of the hippie scene. The San Francisco he left belonged to the flower children. Those innocents loved Will's work, but he was never one of them. If this was so, he was not the only artist who felt alienated by the atmosphere of San Francisco in those days of love.
Sometimes some guy will come up and sit with me and chew my ear off about all his hopes and dreams. Because usually it's just some like broken down hippie pest guy. It's never like a beautiful young 20-year-old girl or nothing.
Will was one of those artists revered by the hip crowds, but who was, himself, ill at ease amongst hippies. Perhaps he was leaving behind a failed love affair. Perhaps it had something to do with his mother. She was elderly now and would herself die not far from Will, in an Alabama nursing home. But leave the Bay Area he did, and who really knows why?